Welcome to Conversations Health, Happiness, and Hope.
There we go.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's been a while. So I think today we're just chatting,
Yes.
just catching up, because we haven't had a chance to catch up since I think our last live was right after AkayaCon, right?
Yeah, it was.
Life has been lifing since then. So my dog had puppies.
Oh.
So I've got a litter of seven puppies. So I was just out there because we moved them into the shed because it was really rainy and they were really tiny and we wanted them to stay dry with mom. So now we put them back into the dog area with the other dogs and like set up their bedding and put out some straw and put up a piece of plywood there's an overhang. They're behind the chicken coop. So there's an overhang to keep the rain off, but just to make sure there's still no rain on them, we put another piece of plywood angled so that they can get in there and they're starting to crawl around and they're really cute, but I really need to sell them. So, because I don't know what I could do with 7 puppies.
Oh my goodness, that's a big litter. So for those who don't know or who need a reminder, on top of raising chickens, Ghene has 2 Great Pyrenees dogs?
Yes. Yep. 2 Great Pyrenees dogs. And I love them. They're really adorable. And the thing about Great Pyrenees is they like some dogs, like they get older and they lose that little like cuteness. But for me, I feel like Great Pyrenees keep that cuteness even when they get older. They just and the puppies are really sweet. There's one little one. She used to run, but she was the first one to open her eyes and walk, which was really interesting to me. And then there's one that looks like Dad. Yeah, Dad has some brownish coloring like around his eyes and like some dark spots that are really pretty. Yeah.
Oh.
So
I wonder if dogs sometimes have like where the runt isn't actually the runt later on. My aunt on my dad's side, she actually wanted the runt of my dad's kittens, and it ended up being like the biggest cat, but it was the smallest kitten.
oh my goodness, that's so funny. Maybe because it's like they learn how to like fend for themselves, so they have to like get that extra food somehow.
Yeah.
So yeah. Or we know that they're the smallest, so we feed them more.
Maybe. both are interesting takes on that.
Yeah. So yeah. So we've got puppies now and getting ready for winter. It's been really mild, a really mild fall. It was very warm. And then all of our rain came, I guess, the end of October. I won't even say end of October. I would say more like in November. We got a couple of rainy days that were like really hard rainy days. And at one point my yard was flooding in the backyard. And that was new. I was like, oh, okay. So I guess maybe in the spring, get someone. I don't know if there's really much I can do about it. It's just a matter of maybe getting some more soil in and build up the yard a little bit more so it can take a little more erosion than it has now. Yeah. So, but yeah, so it's like all that stuff to deal with. But the bottom is about to drop out. You guys are about to get snow.
Yeah.
In a couple of days. Yeah. And we're supposed to be down to 21 degrees overnight and Friday night.
Yeah, we were having some mornings where it was in the 30s and it would be in like the 40s in the afternoon. And today it's rising because we've had our heat on quite a bit, not super high, but I've been wearing like scarves and sometimes like gloves and different like layers. And today I'm like, wow, I'm actually going to have to rethink what I'm wearing today.
Yes.
Because it's still pretty chilly outside, but it's really warm in the house. So
Yeah.
that's something I'm thankful for, is our warm
Right.
home.
Yes. That's always a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, and
We had
speaking,
some friends Saturday night, and I had to put the air conditioner on because it got, even though it was like 40 degrees outside, it was still way too hot inside.
isn't that so strange?
Yes.
I'm thankful that the hurricanes did not impact you and your family. I know when you were talking about the floods, even it was not too concerning, because I think there was only one animal you had to go and bring in. I don't remember if it was a chicken or what.
It was one of the puppies. Yeah.
It was one of the
Yeah.
puppies. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't like flooding. It was just like spots were flooding. So I guess it's good to know where those low points are in your yard. I mean, I guess naturally water collects in certain places.
for sure, for sure. Growing up outside my bedroom window at my mom and Mark's, if we would get the floods so much between our neighbor's house, and a couple of mornings I would look out and there were like ducks and geese swimming outside the window because we had that much water, and it just always
Oh
cracked me
my
up.
goodness, that's great. It's just like
It's like,
sitting
here we are
by.
in the suburbs just watching ducks fly, watching ducks swim.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Oh. So, what have you been up to?
Well, we've been up to quite a bit. A lot of the stuff that I've been doing recently is supporting Chris with his new business endeavor, which was a big surprise. He opened the Drift Dojo in Sterling Heights, Michigan. It was on November 9th. It was the opening day event, also called a Matsuri, for the Drift event. And it's been a success. We had about 30 people that day and made all kinds of food for it. And people were joking, I'll come back every Saturday if we get these walking tacos and this apple dessert. I'm like, I love that, but I'm not going to do that every Saturday.
That's great. That's great. So,
And
this is his own, he has a storefront now, basically.
yeah,
And so, tell me how it works.
so it is an indoor track
Mhm.
for 1/10 scale RC drift cars, and you can bring in your own if you have it and drive for $20 a day, or you can rent it, which I'm not sure of the cost right now, but you can rent for 30 minutes at a time, and it's been a good time. Oddly enough, I haven't drove as much since he's opened it because I've been doing so much with him too. It's exciting. He really made sure that I was okay with it because he started talking about it in the end of June, I want to say,
Oh, okay.
and then started drawing up details and things for me to look over in July. And I was like, okay, wow, that was a lot
Right.
faster than I expected.
Yeah.
So I'm proud of him. Whenever he goes for something, he goes all in, which is motivating me as well, because I saw how quickly he was able to have all of this come together with, getting a space and laying down a track and the layout and everything, where I've started and stopped quite a few times with like coaching. So it's like, okay, this is giving me the encouragement to just go do it, because I don't have all of that overhead of like leasing a space and such.
Mm-hmm.
I just need to get over those nerves again, which I'm doing now with this live, because I'm like, it's been so long.
I know. Yeah.
And speaking of the cars, I've been driving the same GTR body on my RC car, and I love it. It's speed up because I've learned how to drive different chassis on it and different electronics, and it's like a learning experience each time. So Chris suggested that I do an art car because I'm always complimenting everybody else's cars, and whenever Chris has new ones, I'm like always praising him and all of the work that he did and his designs and how good they look. So I realized I need to go much simpler, which was something Chris said anyway. But my first thought was it was just going to be super girly and Phoenix colors, like pinks, yellows, oranges. And having never painted the car body before, I'm being really ambitious. And then I thought it'd be cool if it had like cats peeking out of flowers, because like I'd be drawing everything with Sharpie and just painting the bodies. So this was like my first concept of just scribbling with like the different parts of cats, which is scribbling it black to show us where
that is so cool. That is so cool.
I'm not going to go with this because it's too complicated. And this just looks so funny. And the eyes are offset, but I did it in pen because I got confident and then I learned. So I drew an RX-7, or I tried to, just a really quick sketch because they are very smooth cars, so it'd be easier to draw on. So I thought, oh yeah, let's do some eyes and whiskers for the front and the flowers. A little bit of green in there, because why not?
I love it. Yeah. Yeah, I love it. And then you would paint the chest, your car that you have now, or are you going to get a new one and have a second?
I'm going to get a new one.
Okay.
So we already have it, and Chris was going to cut it out for me, and then I was going to paint it and do the Sharpie. But then I got this cool livery, which are these stickers, but they're designed to go on the entire car to give it a new look. So Ricky at Drift Ninjas RC had this really cool livery that has this girl with like black, white, and pink, and it just makes my emo heart so happy. It just to me it feels like an art chick, a vampire type aesthetic. So now I'm like rethinking, like, well, maybe do I want to do still those colors, maybe minus the green with that livery on there, or maybe another body that's like black and pink with that livery, because it would go with the black, white, and pink.
Right.
I just gotta think it through. But
whatever you do, I think it's going to be awesome.
Well, thank you.
You're so creative. Have you done any more of your miniatures?
I have not. I just Oh yeah, I can't see it over here. You can see it in the frame.
Oh, okay.
That was a lot of fun, so I'll need to do it. And Chris bought a lot of Legos because he saw these different sets where these people were creative and made their own designs and uploaded them, so they told you like what pieces to use. So he found some that used like the same set like over and over to make these bigger sets, like Bavarian inn styles and castles.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, very, very cool. And I think the Lego people just kind of figured out that he has a wife, because they've been sending him these cute little small sets like flowers and a teddy bear with a heart. So I think that might be my next, is just working on one of those.
That's so cool. It's so funny you brought up Legos, because I've been thinking about, I want to pull out Legos and work with Legos again. It's such a creative thing. I wanted to buy a set because they make them. I don't know if it's Lego company, but I know they make like Legos that are just like white and beige. So that you can, that's like plain. So that you can be, I guess the idea behind it is that it's just a blank canvas and you can make whatever you want. So, instead of like sketching with just pencils, you're using Legos that are just like beige. Which I think would be really neat to get them and see if that like sparks any creativity. But I've been wanting to build with Legos, go through my kicks, like where I would paint for creativity, and then I was doing the adult coloring books. I mean, not adult coloring books, but you know,
Yes,
coloring books for adults. With, you know, little lines, and that was giving me a lot of joy. And okay, I'd love to do Legos, or maybe work on a puzzle or something like that. It's important as adults that we do things like that because it keeps our minds fresh. It keeps us thinking in new and different ways, and helps with memory and cognition and all of that stuff. Yeah. So that we're not just constantly doing the same thing over and over again. So
Absolutely.
yeah. I think it's amazing that just from June, because when you said he opened his own space, I'm thinking, oh, this must be something you guys were thinking about for a year or something already. And you're like, June. I'm like, oh, okay.
I'm telling you, like, he moves so quickly on things. It just amazes me. I don't know. And to him, he was like, oh, this is taking forever. I can't believe I don't have a space yet. I'm like, are you kidding me? This came together so quickly.
Less than 6 months. And he got it put together. It's crazy. And opened and had a successful opening. And now it's moving forward. It's a thing now. It's a real thing. That'd be cool. Be neat to go and do your track one weekend. Yeah.
We'll have to do it.
Yes. I've already got ideas in my head. Have to guide us through, teach us like what kind of cars to buy and stuff like that.
Yeah, because I remember you were talking about possibly crawlers or something like that for bastions.
Yes. Yeah. Because I would buy some, but they weren't really great quality, I guess, and they would like break. So I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing in the RC world here.
Well, there are some great groups that would be able to offer some good feedback on that. Now, neither one of us have done the crawlers, but quite a few people that we drive with have drove the crawlers and drones and some of the touring cars. So there's a lot to it.
Yeah.
The hobby, I mean, that's
right. Yeah.
If you like one thing, people tend to like the other stuff too.
Yes. Very cool. Yep.
And speaking of creative outlets, Chris came in here today and he wrote "draw on me" in the dust on my art tablet.
He's like, I bought this for you, girl. Use it.
I got your point. I wanted to take a picture, but I didn't. I'm like, I know. I gotta tell you. I gotta like prioritize like learning it, because I did join a group and I was like watching the people post their work and get feedback on theirs, but they're all so much more advanced in digital art than I am. I'm like, oh geez, I thought this was a beginner's one. It's like I have the coloring. I've really been into reading lately, and that is something that was a big change, because you knew that I was dealing with idiopathic hypersomnia and the different symptoms of that. And a lot of it was also mirroring ADHD, which my doctor thinks I may actually have that too. But as long as the medication that I'm on for the IH is helping with those symptoms, I'm not bothered to go further than that. So I've actually been able to read fiction again and keep up with the stories and understand. So I've been reading pretty much in most of my spare time that I get, and I have the app on my phone where I can read on my phone. I have a Kindle, I have Paperback. So I've just been kind of going back and forth between those different types. To read. So
that's good. Yes, I know you and Caitlin are Instagram book buddies.
Yeah. I was gonna message her the other day about that.
I cannot keep up with what she's reading now. I think it was something. I don't know if you're ahead of her now.
No,
in a series.
No,
okay.
I'm not.
But yeah, I picked up, so there was this show, it wasn't a show, it was a movie called Uglies on Netflix.
Yes.
And I watched it, and the movie it was all right. But I liked the concept enough that I'm like, oh, let me get these books. So I went to Thrift Books and I ordered all 4. So I started reading from the beginning. And so far I've liked it. I just haven't had the chance because I've had back-to-back doula clients since June. But now that it's done, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get some reading time in now. So I'm excited. I started reading it, and it's pretty good to start off with. It's a young adult novel, but I think the concept of wanting to be like other people still hits home for me. And just in everything, sometimes I think, well, I'm not that far along in my business where I want to be. I have this vision of where I want my life to be or where I think my life should be. And that's the thing, we should all over ourselves. But
I like that. I'm adding that to the comment.
Yes. Well, I'm not there yet. Or something happens and I have a couple of setbacks. And so it puts me back a couple of steps. And then it feels like I'm starting all over again. And so it's not exactly the same as like wanting to look physically like everybody else, but maybe like financially or in other ways. Like, I need to catch up to so and so. Yeah, so I'm very interested to see where the author goes with the story. So, and then the other one I'm listening to with my son is Weapon, which is book 2 of a Lynette Noni series. And the first one was called Whisper, and this one is called Weapon. And I really love the series. It's really good. She also did the Carne series.
I'm sorry, what?
A Carne series.
A Carne, okay.
Yeah. So this is the second series we're reading by her, and I really like it. I'm not partial to the narrator because the way she reads it, it's very sleepy. Like it feels like someone's reading out loud laying down before they go to bed. And so when I'm driving in the car, I'm like, you need to have some more action in your voice.
Maybe that person would be good for meditations.
Right, exactly.
And yoga nidras.
That's right. But I do like her accent. It's Australian, so she's Australian. Oh. So I do like that.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, good books. Yeah. It's getting into that season where it'll start getting colder. And I mean, it's already dark early. Mm-hmm. And yeah, sitting down with a good book and some tea is very nice. Absolutely. How are you doing with the time change?
I'm doing well. It took some time. But that is something that just throws me off in general, energy-wise. But with the darkness, that throws me off more. Because I've been driving more again, but short distances, so I haven't done any, hour or so, which normally I would consider short, but with what I was going through before, I was just nervous about it. So I was still kind of nervous to go out at like 5:30 or something when it's dark. But we're getting there. I'm working earlier shift again, so getting out earlier too, so I still have a little bit of daylight. Energy-wise, it really zapped me at first.
Yeah. I was just telling my daughter that normally I used to love when it got darker earlier. I don't know why. I just really liked it, and I just liked the idea that I get to wear my fall clothes, but I don't know if it has to do with living in the country versus being in the city. This year, I did not do well with the time change. I was very emotionally down. Like it just really, I just felt like depressed as soon as the sun starts going down because over here it gets dark at 4:30.
Yeah.
So it's a mountainous area with lots of hills. As the sun just goes down behind the hills, that's it. And it was not. I didn't like the transition. I'm doing better now, but yeah, this was the first year I actually physically and mentally did not like the time change. But I am getting up earlier, like you were saying. Like the sun's coming up earlier, so I'm making sure that I get up when the sun is up, so that I am getting that extra sunlight and that sun time during the day. Yeah. So and Pip is helping me do that. No, Finch.
Finch. Oh yes. Pip is your character.
That's right. Pip is my character. So yeah,
I was so happy when you sent me that, showing that you were on the app now too. It's a self-care app. For anyone who doesn't know, it's Finch Self-Care, and you get a cute little animal that is like your avatar. And then you got a bunch of self-care tools in there. So you have reflections and meditations, name your emotion, various things. If you just go in there, it's like first aid kit, it calls it, and you can add your friends and like send each other hugs or good thoughts. And it's just that's been something that Ghene and I are friends on Finch, so that's been fun.
yeah. And I got my daughter and my son on there too.
Nice.
And my sister. So
Cool.
yeah, so it's really neat. I really like it. It just, you can add goals on there, and it'll remind you to do things and just check in. And so yeah, it's cute.
It is. It's super cute, and it's free. There's a version where you pay for it, but you can do everything in it for free, which is nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do all the free versions. Like, oh, upgrade for whatever. I'm like, no, that's all right. I like the free version.
So, other than Finch, what helped you emotionally get through that little bit of the change while it was just getting dark sooner?
I do journaling, and then I was making sure I was doing my meditation and prayers every morning, and writing down. Like I have a list of things that I try to focus on in my meditation, and just talking about it with different people. And then, as you know, I'm in Al-Anon, so I brought it up in my Al-Anon meeting too, and so so I mean, just that I think that just really trying to acknowledge it and just know I'm feeling this way, but it's not. There's nothing actually wrong, I'm trying to tell myself that it was okay to feel this way. And then I had the doula clients, so that helped because I would go and see the baby, hang out with the baby at night, and so that was good. I think sometimes when I'm like that, my tendency is to want to like throw the blankets over my head, turn the lights off, and just be away, which I can't because I have 2 kids, but so keeping busy helps, so working, doing things, and just trying to stay engaged with everything, I think helps. And time, and it just eased over time. So, so now it's just like, okay, it's getting dark. That's all right. I can still get my steps in. I can still watch a movie. The day is not over yet. I can still do things. Yeah. So
that's good. I'm glad you have some things that have been, helping you, and plus you have people, your support network. So that's really important.
What about you?
I also had a couple of days, actually just over the weekend, where I was having a hard time shaking, just feeling a little down, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and even Chris on Sunday, he's like, "Are you all right? You look sad." I was like, "I am a little." I was like, "But I'm gonna be all right," you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I realized I don't know if it's just like changes that I'm having due to, you know, IH or the ADHD symptoms, but I
Mm-hmm.
used to always have a need to talk about whatever I was feeling. And I used to be very public about that. Of course, thanks to Chris, I've been just like concerns of social media and, you know, what people know. I've been trying
Mm-hmm.
to have a better balance of sharing and being vulnerable and real, but also not just splaying everything out there for you.
Right. 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 Yeah.
um, but in the last few months, something changed where like isolation was my coping mechanism. It wasn't
Huh.
necessarily healthy, I'd say, but I just felt like I just need to be quiet. I need to lay down or sit. And
Mm-hmm.
like I said, a lot of the times it was just reading. I wasn't talking to anyone.
Mm-hmm.
I was just reading and going into these
Yeah.
fictional lands, you know, and going just engulfing myself in the story of these characters.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but there was some time where I noticed like being with it being dark and not having like music on or anything in the background, I would start to feel that a little bit too. And also just a little bit of the fear that I used to get, you know?
Uh-huh.
So I went to my go-to comfort show that I've had forever, Friends, and Gilmore Girls. I've been watching that a lot too. But I have Friends on DVD, so I decided to give Gilmore Girls a break and put Friends back in.
Mm-hmm.
And I play that in the background like people do with podcasts, you know? So it's like, okay, I'm home. It's dark. Now it's not quiet. This is like my security sound in the
Right.
background. And there's always laughing and stories happening. Um, so that was something that was helping too. And then eventually it was like once I started being able to process what I was feeling on my own again and paying attention to it when I gave myself that time and acknowledging it, like you were saying earlier, then I was able to go back through and work through what I was feeling. And once I did that, I was able to talk with, you know, friends or family about it and use that support system. So it was just very odd to me how that had changed in just a couple of months,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't notice it at first.
Right. Right. That's interesting because that's usually the way I do it. Like sometimes I
Yeah,
won't even know that I'm down. I just feel agitated and I
yeah.
won't know that I'm depressed at first. And then I'll look back and be like, oh, I think I'm depressed. I think
Oh,
yeah. And I'm like, and then, but it usually will take me a long time to notice that. And this was the first time that I was able to like notice it like right away,
yeah.
right at the top. Yeah. So,
Well, kudos
yeah.
to you.
Yeah. Well, and same to you because we all find different ways to manage. And
Hmm.
I do think that there's some, I don't know if isolation is the right word. Solitude.
Yes.
Solitude is good, because
Hmm.
sometimes we do need that like kind of quiet space um, to just let our minds and our bodies be for a little bit. And um, doing it safely, but just having that time. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I wrote something a while back for school where I said solitude and like creativity go hand in hand. So it was
Mm-hmm.
like that was my solo time, was to write or to draw or sometimes just to sing to myself along
Mm-hmm.
with the music. So I agree. I like solitude as a term for that. Something else came to me just now, and I was trying to remember what it was. But
I won't distract you. It'll come back to you
yeah,
like me. I'll be
it,
like, there is a name. And I'm trying to think of it. And I'm like, but you know what? It'll come to me tomorrow in the middle of the day. And then I'll text you.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely getting older has its effects too. But you're young, so
You are too.
thank you.
Welcome.
Oh, goodness. I just had
Yeah.
a vision in my head that came of like you and me sitting in some rocking chairs on a porch telling each other we're young and we're like 80 and 70.
Oh, I love it.
We're still young. That would be great.
Yes. Yes.
So what are your plans for this weekend before we head off?
Well, I'm working tomorrow
Mhm,
and I'm going to see family over the week for
mhm.
Thanksgiving. And we're going to have good food and hopefully good conversations. And Chris will have his track open for part of the time, and hopefully I'll draw on my art tablet over here.
Nice.
Erase the dust off again.
Yes. Yes.
And maybe finish one of the books that I'm reading.
Ooh, that would be good. Yeah.
Yeah. How about you?
I'll be seeing some friends. Most of my family, well, all of my family is in Florida and New York, so I won't be seeing them, but I'll be seeing some friends, and I actually have tomorrow off. So
Nice.
after I set my away message tonight, I'll be done. And so I'm just going to kind of hang out, do some stuff around the house, work on some Legos. Maybe I'll make something interesting and read books and just try to have like a nice, relaxing weekend. So I am looking forward to it. So yeah.
I'm glad. That would be nice. And coming back to your off-brand Legos that are white and beige, I think you said. What is your plan for those? Are you like building and drawing on them, or are you making that like a flat canvas?
Well, I haven't gotten them yet, so
Yeah.
I want to get them, but I didn't think about drawing on them.
Yeah.
I just thought about just like doing constructs and just seeing what I could make out of it. Just I don't know, I just have this feeling in my mind that I need to build something and work with my hands and make something interesting. I know that's not a good word. I'll have to think of another word. But something that's not necessarily, I think I might start with just the base of like a square. Obviously, they're Legos, so it has to be square or rectangle. But I want to see how far I can push the maneuverability of that to create maybe some geometric shapes and things. So,
cool.
yeah.
Cool. I like that because there's so much flexibility in that, so much creative freedom. And it came to me what I was going to come back to.
Oh, okay.
How you were talking about how sometimes you don't realize that you're having feelings of depression or something.
Mm-hmm.
You just kind of feel irritable. It made me think of love languages and human design and how your not self is like the opposite of, how your personality or your profile projects. Like two of my top love languages are words of affirmation and quality time. So not feeling like myself, I'm saying negative things to myself, and I was not having that quality time because I was going into solitude, as we were talking about. So that's what came back to me. And also to congratulate you again on your doula business, because so many people probably don't know that that's also one of the cool things you did. And while you were talking about your doula clients. So that
Oh,
is something
thank
that
you.
often happens from our last live.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Where
Yeah. And I started, working, and I've been doing this like on the side. And then I was like, oh, why don't I just make this is my business. This is what I do.
yeah.
This is, and it's not coaching, but it's similar because I go in and I help parents with their little ones, and there's always questions. And as a parent, I always have like, am I doing enough? Is this the right thing? Um, I'm tired, and and sometimes you just need someone to say, you're doing a good job.
Absolutely.
That's it. You did a great job. You woke up today, you played with your kids, you managed to wash some dishes. That's awesome. You don't need to do anything else. So yeah, so I really do love it. I love being able to give parents the opportunity to go to sleep and then stay asleep. Because when you have, especially a newborn, it's almost like you're sleeping with one eye open. You're not really sleeping. You're just always listening. Every time they move, it's like, oh, are they waking up? No. Okay. Oh, are they waking up? No. Okay. and then when they finally do like get quiet, you're like, you can't sleep, because then you go and you check and you're like, okay, are they breathing? Are they okay? Because it's just, you're not used to the silence. So there's a lot of stuff that, if you don't necessarily realize is happening to your body all day long, every single day for months at a time, that just having a few nights a week of being able to sleep uninterrupted is, it's
gift.
a gift. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
That is just so cool to know that that is something that you are giving to parents. May I ask how you learned about this service? Because I've only heard of doulas on TV and shows, and often there's a comedy aspect to it because people are picking on them for, going with such an out there way. But then when you explain it, it's like, no, this is just so straightforward. The needs that people have for, sleep and health and care of their child. So I was just curious how long you've known about this, and like what brought you to it? Like what made you want to say, yes, this is how I want to help people?
So I knew about it back when, I think I started doing this back when my son was a baby. So my email, GBaby Doula 2012, that was the year that I first did it. I was living in Florida. My son was a baby. And I had thought the same thing, that doulas were just birth doulas. But then I came across something that said postpartum doula. And I'm like, well, what's that? And I looked at it. I'm like, oh, that's such a neat idea. I would have loved to have someone come in and help me at night. And when I first started, I did it during the day. I remember my first client, I walked in the door and she literally just handed me the baby. And she was like a mess. She was crying and she was very emotional. She had a hard time emotionally after the baby, just because it was overwhelming. It was so overwhelming. And I came in and helped with that and helped her with lactation and all that stuff. And I just loved it. It was like, I felt, and at the time I was still a preschool teacher. So I felt like this was like just the next natural extension of caring for children, was also caring for families, because I have a really strong heart for caring for families. And then I had stopped doing it, and then we moved to Tennessee, and then I didn't really have a client base or anything like that to start doing it. And then a friend of mine was like, "Hey, my neighbor is having a baby, and she's looking for a night nurse." And I was like, "Oh, what's a night nurse?" And she was describing it to me. I'm like, "Oh, a postpartum doula."
Ah.
Yeah, it's like, "Oh, okay." So, and that's how I started doing it here. But
Cool.
when I think what really got me is whenever a parent is just like, you get to them and they're just visibly exhausted, like in all the ways that you can be exhausted as a human being, a parent is. And then the next morning, they're like awake and lively and talkative and excited, and that's the way it should be. And I know we're kind of going over time, but historically, women didn't give birth alone. I mean, they make it sound like, oh, women have been doing this for years, you'll be fine. They did it for millennia with family. All the women, aunts, grandmas, in-laws, neighbors would come and they would surround the mother and they would help take care of the baby. And especially for the first 30 days, they would cook all of her meals. They would clean for her. She wasn't even allowed to leave the house because they wanted her to be healthy and be healthy for the baby. And of course, obviously modern technology, we have a lot of sanitation that they didn't have then. So there may not necessarily be a need for that, but there is definitely a need for support. And we didn't do it as a silo. It was never meant to be done by yourself. So I don't know where in history that kind of went off, and became, what it is. We kind of relegated that to like the medical field, which of course medical field should be involved with babies. But that postpartum care, I don't know. Even doctors just expect you just to figure it out. Like, you'll know. Like, they just think like, oh, this instinct is going to click in your head. And for the most part, it does. But there's a lot of stuff and a lot of feelings that you don't realize you're going to have after you've given birth, because so much is going on physically in your body, chemically, hormonally. And now you have this little life that you have to take care of as well. So it's a lot. It's a lot.
I can imagine. Major props to you and other mothers and parents out there.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then some people, some women are dealing with postpartum depression on top of that.
Yes.
So yeah, the expectations for being able to just bounce back and do all of this on your own, or maybe with only the partner, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So what a wonderful gift, as we were saying.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
And I know you mentioned going over. Obviously, this is a very informal live, just to be comfortable and catch up again. So a nice informal episode, but we did have some nuggets of wisdom come out, as I figured we probably would. Is there anything else that you wanted to add before we sign off or anything?
No, I didn't really have anything. I really liked when you talked about the love languages and the your not self, because I'd never heard that before.
Yeah.
So I'd be interested to learn a little bit more about that. Maybe we can even talk about that a little bit. Yeah. So I'll have to do some research, and that would be really neat to learn more about that.
I like that. Okay, here's to hoping my books don't fall off the shelf, because one time I did this and they fell, and Chris was like, what was that? My books fell.
While you're doing that, I'm going to turn my fan off because now I'm cold.
Oh no. Yep, it's falling. Okay. Well, we saved that one.
Here I am. I'm back.
So this is the 5 love languages.
Okay.
It's very good for either yourself or with, partners. And you can take it again and again, and your results might change. But there are 5 love languages, and if you go into it deeper, people will say that there are more than that as well. But this is like the classic one that everybody will reference you to. And I've been seeing various things like reels about it, and one of the reels that I just saw reminded me of human design as well, which I know is a pseudoscience, but it's a lot of fun, and I actually see a lot of truth in it. So it was something that I did that was way outside of my comfort zone, and I was like, you know what? I see myself in this like every day if I really look at it. So the human design is your like archetype. Your archetype. So I'm a projector. I know a lot of people are generators, which means I wait for invitation. And I have the role model hermit lifestyle, which I thought was really interesting. I'm like, wow, they nailed that. I'm homebody, but I love people.
Yeah.
And there's all of these parts in whatever is open and receptive and whatnot. Like my willpower, nobody can change because of how it is in my human design. I can't think of it. Mine was with Dr. Lisa Thompson, so she did a really cool job. I really enjoyed speaking with her on that. And then they have your not self on there as well, in whatever is your write-up. There's a lot more to it. This is just what I'm remembering at the time. And my not self for my projector role model hermit was like bitterness, resentment, things that are not complimentary to another person or myself. So that's what that made me think of, was that that reel about love languages and how the behaviors that you put out when you're not feeling well are basically the opposite of your top love languages. And then that made me think of your not self in human design. Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Because I didn't know that my love languages are quality time and acts of service are my 2 main. Yeah.
Definitely see that.
So, yeah. And then I guess gift giving and receiving would also be maybe the 3rd underneath there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to do that test.
Yes, absolutely. It's online, it's in books, so very cool. Chris and I read the book and took the quiz, and then he took the quiz for me quite a few years ago, and we compared them, so that was cool.
Very cool.
Yeah. Oh. Well, thank you for asking about that.
Yeah, that will be neat. Yeah, definitely. Maybe do more. Talk about it more at another point. That would be cool. Yeah.
I could do that. Maybe even have like a guest or something. Yeah.
Yeah. That would be neat. So, it was great talking to you.
It was great talking to you as well. Yeah. And you did the intro. I'll help us do the outro. Thanks for watching Conversations on Health, Happiness, and Hope. Stay inspired.
And do something that makes you stronger every day. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
I need to catch up to so and so. But yeah, so I'm into very interested to see where the author goes with the story. So, and then the other one I'm listening to with my son is Weapon, which is book 2 of a Lynette Noni series. And the first one was called Whisper, and this one is called Weapon. And